Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest. But first, let's say hi to our partners, the global community of women in high school sports, and We Coach, two great organizations that you should be a part of. We Coach and the global community of women in high school sports. Now, let's hear from our sponsors. We want to thank our friends at Sideline Interactive for their support of the podcast. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards not only raise money for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or send them an email at sales@sidelineinteractive.com to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. Check them out and see what their fantastic products can do for you. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to set up and sell your tickets online. They'll show you how to scan the attendees that come to your game and collect your revenue. And every step of the way, you'll have a dedicated client success manager that's providing hands-on support. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com. They'll also show you how to set up and sell tickets for things like dances, for theater productions, music performances, even graduation. That's hometownticketing.com. Simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thanks to SnapRaise. Go to snapraise.com and see how better fundraising can make your program better. Get away from the fundraising headaches of the past. There's no upfront cost. There's no selling. Your data is secure. You can even get access to funds before you even raise them. Our coaches use SnapRaise, and it was just fantastic. And choosing the best fundraiser for you and your group is critical. And you can put the SnapRaise digital fundraising difference to work. It's safe, it's secure, and it works. Go to snapraise.com and check out the thousands and thousands of dollars that they've helped schools just like yours raise using SnapRaise. Change your fundraising game plan and start a fundraiser that works for you. Go to snapraise.com for more information. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, if you're looking for a really cool way to display your school's athletic record boards and your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. They've got an entire library of templates to go with their interactive touchscreen consoles. Let them help you recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present, and showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com or email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com to get started. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors are creating world-class marketing content for their school's social media channels. You can do it in seconds on any device, and you don't need any design experience. It's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com, tell them you heard about it on the podcast, and use the podcast code ADPOD10 and get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. Start creating custom branded content for your school's social media channel. Gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to Huddle.com and see why Huddle is how the world sees sports. Over 200,000 teams use Huddle to help their athletes and their teams perform better using video and analytics. As a high school football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as a high school AD, our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the apps, the mobile accessibility. Of course, they love the analytics, but there's so much more. Huddle has solutions for the challenges you face as an AD. Go to huddle.com and find out why we believe in sports and why teams believe in Huddle. Can 6 million users be wrong? Go to huddle.com and see how your school can become a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms. Final Forms is the industry leader in forms and registration, but it's so much more than that. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with things like mobile accessibility. They've got reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that come when you have an athlete in the house. Final Forms can also help your coaches with things like attendance and communication, and even help with their certification management. And for athletic directors, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. It's time for you to talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for teachers, for coaches, for kids, and for parents. And the surveys almost always came back overwhelmingly positive, and they will for you too. But the surveys also allowed that squeaky wheel parent to vent a little. And sometimes they'd share a small problem that you could address and keep it from turning into a big problem because you didn't know about it, because you didn't give them a survey. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com or email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going up to New Hampshire today, and our guest is Kenny Edwards. Kenny is a certified master athletic administrator, and he's the director of athletics and activities at Merrimack High School in Penacook, New Hampshire. So, Kenny Edwards, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Jake. It's nice to be here. I do have to say Merrimack Valley High School because there is a separate Merrimack High School in New Hampshire. So it's Merrimack Valley High School.
Oh, my goodness. I had that written down on my notes, and I missed that. So again, Kenny Edwards from Merrimack Valley High School.
Thank you.
Penacook, New Hampshire.
It's
Absolutely.
nice to be here. Thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Oh, well, we appreciate you spending some time with us. For our listeners, we're recording this on October 4th, so it's going to be pretty timely by the time you're listening to it. Kenny, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's the Kenny Edwards origin story? Maybe take us up through those college years, and then we'll hear more about your athletic director career.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I grew up in Northern Virginia, in Loudoun County, right outside of Washington, D.C. My father was a basketball coach and teacher. My brother and I played high school basketball for him at Parkview High School, and then went from there to Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia, majored in health and physical education, graduated there, and started my athletic director career or my high school teaching and coaching career in Southern Virginia, in Chesapeake, very near Virginia Beach, and was a high school PE teacher, a high school basketball coach for 17 years. And then I got into coaching college basketball at the Division III level at Virginia Wesleyan College, and at the Division I level at Norfolk State University as an assistant coach for 4 years. So that really started me thinking about the administrative side of athletics. At Norfolk State especially, I was in charge of running the women's basketball budget and scheduling travel and doing a lot of the administrative things that come with being a college basketball coach. And I learned a lot from the athletic director at Norfolk State at the time was Mr. Marty Miller, who was also an excellent baseball coach there. And I learned how to run an athletic department, how to administer, how to mentor young coaches, and also the financial side of athletics. So from there, when I decided to get out of coaching college basketball because we had young children and the recruiting just did not work at the time for us. So I got back in for a couple of years as a special education teacher, trying to get certified as an athletic administrator and that also helped prepare me. Teaching special education helped prepare me for being an athletic administrator also, because I learned more about unified sports. I learned more about writing IEPs and that side of the education process. So then I got my first job as athletic administrator at Jamestown High School in Williamsburg, stayed there for 7 years. I was a part of a fantastic growing athletic department. And then last spring, got the wonderful opportunity to be the new athletic director at Merrimack Valley High School in New Hampshire. And the reason we decided to move up here, it's a rather large move from Virginia to New Hampshire. My wife's family is from Maine, about 50 minutes from where we're at right now, and they're not doing so well physically. So we decided to move back in the area, be closer to them. She has a special needs brother that we also help take care of. So it's been really good for our family to be back together and to kind of grow and learn more about this area. So that's kind of my journey from Northern Virginia to New Hampshire.
Well, again, I always love to hear the stories and, the bouncing around a little bit. You did that all on one coast. My career, we crisscrossed the country as a college coach
Yeah.
for a while. Let's talk a little bit about that college experience. I know in talking with high school coaches and high school ADs, I think the college, those that have not done it, they look at that college experience and think that it's all everybody's at the D1 level, and you're flying in jets and things like that. I coached JUCO and NAIA and Division III for a while. And you're absolutely right. Our kids, and my wife was a coach, but we had kids and the recruiting, the travel. Talk a little bit about some of the fun things that you experienced as a college coach.
Well, without question, the most fun that I had, and the only part that I really actually miss, is recruiting, because I enjoyed going into high schools. I enjoyed meeting coaches, seeing how different coaches ran their programs, even at the high school level and even at the AAU level. I enjoyed watching practices and getting to know other coaches and getting to know parents and families. And as a college coach, you have the one thing that they all want, and that's the scholarship. So it really led to some very interesting conversations about life after college. How are you going to use that scholarship to benefit your life, to make your life better, to make it a memorable experience? And so as I spent time as a college coach, I realized that, kids are kids, no matter whether they're on the East Coast or the West Coast. What motivates kids is if they can see that you have their best interest at heart, and what you're doing is helping them advance in their career as an athlete and a student. And so that part of coaching and administrating became very valuable to me as I moved out of college coaching. So that to me was the most fun part. And we had some great players at Norfolk State and Virginia Wesleyan. We had a lot of fun traveling and playing other teams and seeing different styles of play. So those were good times. And there's days that I miss that, but there's not that many days that I miss it.
No, I agree with you 100%. Visiting with kids, visiting with parents and coaches, that was a lot of fun. And I think it really paid off later on as a high school coach when we had kids getting recruited, and my own 3 kids as they were going through the recruiting process. Having that perspective, I think really helped. Let's go and jump into that coaching career, and I'd like our guests to share that period when they're transitioning from coach to AD, what I call coming to the other side of the desk. How did that all play out, and maybe what are some memories of that period of your career?
In all my times as a coach, both on the high school and college level, I always try to be very mindful of what my athletic director was doing, what my athletic director's expectations of me were. And the athletic directors that I enjoyed working with were ones that had very clear expectations, ones that were very accessible. So those kinds of things motivated me and really molded me as I became an athletic director. I decided that I was going to lead face to face. I wasn't going to try to lead from behind a desk or through email or text or anything like that. So when the school day ends, if you need to find me, I tell all my coaches, if you need to find me, go out to the practice field, go out to the game field, because that's where my job really begins, is building those relationships. And you have to do that day by day. You have to be consistent. And those are some of the things that I learned from my athletic directors when I coached. And then the other thing is just be very clear and very concise on what your expectations are, and create opportunities for communication. That I'm really big on communication. And I learned from some very good ADs that whenever you think that you finally mastered communication, that's the minute you start falling behind, because it's evolving with social media, with different ways to communicate. If you can't be face to face, and you've got to be very clear with your expectation, you've got to follow up with different types of communication to make sure your message was received. So I would say communication, clear, concise expectations, leading face to face. Those are the things that I picked up from my former athletic directors.
Boy, those sound like some great tools for the toolbox. I hope you saved a couple, for the end of our interview. And again, I love your point about if you want to find me, I'm going to be out on the practice field, and again, that's where I always tried to be after school, is just get out there, get around to as many practices as I could see, in the gym, the fields, the pool, very important stuff. For our listeners, our guest today is Kenny Edwards. He's a certified master athletic administrator, and he's the director of athletics and activities at Merrimack Valley High School, and that's in Penacook, New Hampshire. We're going to take our first break, but please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive for their support of the podcast. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and check out their indoor scoring tables and video boards. We had a Sideline Interactive indoor scoring table in our gym. We still do. And it's just great. Of course, we use it for home games, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and it really does a great job. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and check out their indoor scoring tables and video boards. That's sidelineinteractive.com.